Welcome to the Away Yet Close podcast. Meet your host, Lamia.
And Mandy, expats like you, here to guide you through the food and body image challenges you might encounter as you settle into a new country.
Get ready to explore, eat, empower, no matter where you are in the world. Ready to dive in? Let's get started.
We're happy that you are here again listening to our episode. In this episode, we are going to talk about our journey into intuitive eating. We want to share how we got into that and how it has been our experience as expats continuing this journey into intuitive eating in a different country. So, yeah, we will start by explaining what is intuitive eating.
Before going in depth into intuitive eating, we can already say that in today's diet culture, there is an overwhelming emphasis on external factors like calorie counting, food restrictions, weight loss, and that can immerse into eating disorders or disordered eating patterns or negative body image of the relationship with food. And then intuitive eating comes to offer us an alternative approach that focuses on promoting overall health and well-being, both physically and mentally, rather than trying to achieve a certain size or certain body shape. So it's an approach that encourages us to listen to our body's internal cues, such as fullness, hunger, and satisfaction. And it tries to increase or prioritize our self-awareness, attunement to our bodily signals, and give us permission to eat all the food that we want without guilt and judgment.
I agree with you, and especially like you say, in today's culture, we are bombarded all the time with these images that health equals a certain body type or a certain size. And what intuitive eating does is offer this alternative approach, this alternative way of relating to our health and on really connecting to what our body needs, on what nourishes us, on what gives us satisfaction, enjoyment in a very gentle way. So then we are working in our self-acceptance, in body neutrality, that we can find health at every size and not just the body type that we usually see outside there in social media or promoted everywhere. And this helps us to improve our physical and mental health.
Yes.
So that is why we both consider that intuitive eating is very important nowadays, especially with the diet culture we are submerged in.
Yeah, exactly. And intuitive eating offers us also like a powerful antidote of all this kind of issues. And it promotes our self-acceptance, the body neutrality, and having a more peaceful relationship with food. And that's how like our journey started. And we are into our intuitive eating journey because it's a journey, it's never finishing. There is always something that we can keep working on. And it's not like an objective that we need to reach as like graduation day saying we are now fully intuitive eaters and that's it. And yeah, we would like also to share with you how we came into intuitive eating and how we became also intuitive eating professionals.
Sure. Yes, well, I think since I was born, I was living in the diet culture. There was always this emphasis on attaining a certain number, like a certain size, that your body should have a certain appearance. And I think since I was like a teenager, I was always trying to conform to these norms. And I was naturally born into like a bigger body. When I was a little kid, it was bigger. So I always felt like I was not right or that I needed to work harder to achieve that type of body. And this always made me feel a lot of pressure. And I did a lot of things, a lot of diets, a lot of exercise, a lot of tricks, everything that was what the diet culture offers. And I think especially in the pandemic in 2020, I noticed there was like a bigger emphasis on not gaining weight. We were experiencing all this stress. We were in the lockdown, so there was less movement, you went out less, and there was a lot of pressure to keep your body size, to keep your weight. And in that moment, I was still submerged in this diet culture. I used to do a lot of mountaineering. My lifestyle before the pandemic was very active. I was in a lot of clubs, climbing, running, hiking, cycling. So I struggled a lot in the first months because I couldn't go out. I was with everything. I didn't understand what was happening. And then there was this pressure that I needed to keep my same body size and my same weight. So I started to do this kind of intense HIIT exercises, a program of 3 months. I was waking up very early, like at 6 a.m. to do it before my working, and they started at 8 a.m. And it was just a lot of pressure. I remember in those months I had a lot of insomnia. I couldn't sleep, and there was all the pressure with the pandemic, but also with this eating. And so slowly we were all spending a lot of time in social media. So I started to get this kind of posts and videos of being gentle with your body, that it's okay to gain weight in this moments, that you don't need to be a certain body type. And then I started to kind of resonate with this because I also felt like, well, there's already a lot of pressure. Why do I have this pressure? Why do I need to have a certain body type or a certain number for my health? Because now I'm not sleeping, I'm very stressed. Like, is this really for my health, or why is this? So I started to question all of this, and then this kind of post, somehow I bump into intuitive eating, like, and I started to get more into that, doing some research, and then I decided to buy the book, and I read it, and then I was like, wow, this is really really is an alternative approach. I think at the beginning, if you are really into the diet culture, it's hard. It's kind of hard to shift, to say, is this really going to work for me? Is this really better for my health? And then I decided to kind of buy one course to do the process myself. It was with an American nutritionist that she offered, and I looked into her, and I really liked the way she explained things. And so then I did this process with her program. I think it was like around a year that I slowly started to shift. And then I really started to feel a lot of benefits. I really started to feel more peace with myself, with my eating. I felt more satisfaction, more enjoyment, more happiness. And that's where I decided, well, I was already working as a therapist, eating therapy, like it for general problems in Mexico for people with anxiety, depression. And then I said, well, I really want other people to experience this peace that I am experiencing. That for almost all my life, I was in a war with myself and my body and eating and food. So I really thought, wow, this is something that is really changing my life for good. I'm sleeping better. I feel more enjoyment in general. I feel more present in my life, because sometimes I did have like this, and I was not present in some moments because I was thinking, how many calories is this going with my diet? So I was not present in social moments in my life with my family, with my friends. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And then I looked up how to become a counselor. I signed up for the training, and here we are.
Yeah, so yeah, that's impressive, your journey with intuitive eating and how you became intuitive eating counselor on top of your existing business on therapy. And that's a nice combination. But what you said, like about if people have some anxiety, it can be actually coming from body image that they don't see the connection, but it's connected by the eyes. And that gives a plus for your practice. That's nice. Yeah. So for actually my journey is not like exactly the same as your journey, but it was a bit similar. So like growing up in a fatphobic society that pressures more thin bodies and like question a lot of decisions in eating. And then I was dieting for most of my life till even like when I came to the Netherlands, I was still into the dieting culture and like all the micromanagement of all my food and on my intake and like, counting calories, counting steps, wanting to let me do it in a way. And it works till it doesn't work. And then like if you drop a bit of like let go some of the rules, then you get back the weight that you lost. And the cycle of guilt starts again, and then you start again a new diet. And I don't remember anymore how many diets I tried, but I think I tried like 100 probably of them. And it was both in my country, Tunisia, or when I came to the Netherlands. So it was in both countries. And as you said, like it gets me away from my social life, and my brain space was allocated for all things related to food. So I remember this friend that we were always talking about food and exercise. And that's our talks were about. And that's like, okay, it was nice and was good, but it was so restricting. And so like, yeah, in a way we thought it was motivating, but by the end it was not motivating. And I wish it was more like connection time rather than talking about what we ate and that we earn our food and that we go to the gym. So that was one of the things. And then I think in September 2008 or something like that, I found this coach that was advertising about intuitive eating and losing weight. So I thought maybe that's again like, let's try this technique. Maybe it works because all the other diets didn't work. And it was kind of sign for me, okay, this is a new approach. I went to look into it and it was a superficial search. And I thought, oh, this makes a lot of sense. That's like quitting dieting and then losing weight in a healthy way. That was how it was advertised. And like we say, from now, it's not the way of how intuitive eating works. We always put weight loss away. Like it's not about weight loss, it's about connecting to our body, to our mind, and to our food and having healthy relationship. But this was kind of tricky advertisement to attract people to this like a new approach of intuitive eating. And I thought, okay, let's do it. Actually, it was working like any kind of diet till it doesn't work. And then I was more interested into intuitive eating. I bought the book itself, and I was already seeing that it's not fitting the methodology and the framework that was officially the intuitive eating framework. So I knew that was something not correct, but I still went through it because I was seeing myself losing weight and I was happy in that time about it. And then the same coach was also coaching professionals to become coaches in her technique. And I thought, oh, okay, it helped me. Let's do it also. And in that period, I was in between my university job and like thinking about what to do next. I was questioning a bit what I want to do and discovering my passions. And at similar time, COVID came and we were having more like home time. And I thought, okay, actually, I like coaching. It can be also building online business, and let's do it. And then I went really into like intuitive eating and understanding what it was about, and understood that what we were doing in that coaching, either like as a coachee or as a potentially professional, that was not right. And I decided to not go through that. And I went to the training by Evelyn, one of the founders of Intuitive Eating Framework. And as Mandy, I got through the certification and I went there through the mindset of I will help myself and I want to help others. So it was not that I was completely in my healing journey or like I was starting to be more intuitive eating and understand how to connect to my body and how to connect to some signals that I was pushing away in the past, like the feeling of hunger and fullness. That was the most signals that I didn't really listen to or forgot how to listen to. So through this training, I started my healing journey. I started also to understand. I started to know how I can be professional in that. Meanwhile, I went also to a CBT coaching certification that was focused on people that wants to be a coach in intuitive eating and body image. And that was really helpful. That was also like more into my healing journey, understanding how my brain works, understanding all the things that I believed true that wasn't been true, and started to question a lot of things that were happening in my life. It started like to be about healing my journey with food and body, but it went also to healing my relationship, my vision on how I see money, my vision on how I see work. So different aspects, because like the mindset works in a similar way in different facets of life. And this is like now where I am. So I got like this training for CBT focused on intuitive eating and body image, got also certified in intuitive eating, and this is like how my journey went. I'm still like having small challenges that are evolving, especially my relationship with exercise. But intuitive eating is a journey. It's never like a finishing journey. We are always trying to be a better selves and questioning some beliefs that we thought that it's true, and we never had the time to have a step back and see what's really about and why we are thinking a certain way. And yeah, that's like my journey of intuitive eating and how I became intuitive eater myself and intuitive eating professional.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for sharing with us your journey. Damian, I want to ask you, like, just your background as a researcher. How did intuitive eating fit into that?
Yeah, so I have research in computer science integrated with healthcare. So, like how to deliver healthcare interventions through the technologies, through the new technologies. My research background and the topics helped me to think about it. Like, I would not be able to work on something that is non-scientifically proof, because that's what my work about. I need something proven that to be true to be able to believe it or apply it, and researching new techniques and hints. So intuitive eating was proven by a lot of scientific research. I think to this day, maybe over 400 scientific research was done on that, and proving that it's something that improves the body image. It improves the relationship with food, comparing to other methods focused on dieting. It improves also the physical health, and like a lot of research done on that. And if it was not from my background that I'm a researcher and want to have this kind of proof before doing it, I would never do like probably intuitive eating or be a professional in that. So it helped me in that. And it helped me also to see how I can deliver a different type of like approaches through the technology that are not focused on just counting steps and counting calories.
I think I also agree with this, that I also got into this, keeping in mind that it's the scientific proven approach.
Yeah, so it shows also our journeys are a bit similar and a bit different. And that's like the good thing about it. We always have a lot of different perspective on different aspects of this journey, and then we would be able to share through this podcast. And that's a nice bridge to the challenges that we were facing. So, okay, now we know about our journeys, but let me ask you, what were your challenges when you started intuitive eating in a foreign country, and how maybe you were able to deal with it?
Yes, well, it's a very, very good question. Because, yes, I started intuitive eating in my home country, in Mexico, and then I came to live here in Amsterdam. And I think one of the challenges was the cultural differences, especially in the eating times. Like in Mexico, your biggest meal is at lunch. So usually in your work, you get like 1 hour break. and you can have a big meal, or some people even go home to eat and then they come back. And here, when I was working in a company, it was just 30 minutes. And then some people just had like a toasty or like a bread or like a little salad. And it was a challenge for me to kind of change this cultural way of eating, that I was like hungry. I was like, I don't feel like I eat enough. I really need my big meal to function. And then the dinner was smaller. I live with my Dutch boyfriend, so now we have the big meal later at dinner, and now I eat smaller in the lunch. Also, the language barrier, like to understand what are the ingredients, how like some fruits, vegetables, or some food, how are they called here, or like some products are similar, but they are very different. Like, for example, in Mexico, we have something similar to the creme fraiche that we use it a lot in our food. You add a little creme fraiche, but the creme fraiche is still made differently. In Mexico, it's lighter, it's more liquid, and here is denser. Also, the access to familiar foods. I think this relates to the language barrier. Like, well, the food is completely different in Mexico and in here. Like, we are more corn-based culture. Here's more bread and potatoes. And also all these spices that we use are very hard. You can find them here. Luckily, in Amsterdam, there's a lot of things, but maybe it's like 4 times or 5 times the price. So this is a challenge, and sometimes you really want to eat something, you really crave something, and then it's hard to get it. So you have to explore a lot of foods to see what could be an equivalent for these cravings. And the last barrier that I had moving here was the stress eating. Stress eating due to all the challenges of adapting to a new country, of establishing here, finding a house, a place to live, a job, finding your community, your people, going to new social events, all of this. Yeah, it made me have a lot of stress. And I did kind of mindlessly ate a lot because of that I was just not coping with the stress in different ways. This have been a challenge that I think I'm still working on it when I get too stressed. But now I do have a lot of other coping strategies that help me deal with my stress in different and maybe also more effective ways. But yeah, so what about you, Daniel? What were the challenges that you experienced with intuitive eating in a foreign country?
Yeah, so for me, again, it's a bit different, my journey, because I started intuitive eating when I was already years in Netherlands. So in my whole new foreign country. And I can say already that I share with you this stress eating because of all the cultural shock. And even in my dieting journey, that is the struggle with the stress eating, the new country, new norms, new challenges. I was by myself. I was not able to process my emotions, didn't let my emotions be. Otherwise, I would be like in a weak position. That was my old thoughts, feelings of isolation. My family are not next to me. I have to do everything by myself. All these kind of things led me to have a lot of stress eating. And in that days, it was like solving it with dieting and shame. And then like it's even worse, the stress eating becomes. But when I started my intuitive eating journey, this was still a bit of challenge, and it was still a challenge. And I learned to do it in a different way. I learned actually to embrace the emotional eating or stress eating as an indicator of what's happening in my life. If I was stressed and going to food, then it means that I'm not solving the stressful situation. If I'm sad and I go to food, then what's happening? What is like? I started to learn about myself more, and I started to learn about what I can do to be able to process my emotions. So I saw it by the end as a gift that it can help me to get to know what is happening. And then the challenges when I was I was already here for some time. things like limited knowledge on the new food or the cultural differences. I already dealt with it before, so I already adapted to the country. I knew the difference in the cultural food that is like that's what you said, the small sandwich for lunch. I got used to it already at that time. But the thing is, our cultural food was deemed like bad food in the white culture food dieting. Like you cannot eat that or that or that, or it has a lot of fat, it has a lot of carbs, it has a lot of sugar. And a lot of our cultural food was based on that. So I was like removing it from my eating behavior. And then when I started into this eating, I started making peace with all these kind of things and liking it back and including it again into my food. I was trying to healthify our traditional food and like make it very bad version of it, just to say that I'm eating it and I'm eating it in a healthier way, like switching different types of flours, removing sugar, this kind of things, just to make similar things, but not really like the same taste, just to pretend that I'm still eating my cultural food. And the two things that I was not was struggling with in the beginning with intuitive eating was to connect with my body, like to understand when is hunger happening, when is fullness happening, because that's like a big challenge when you were like going on a lot of diets, and the diets would tell you when you eat, when you not eat, when you should be already full. Like if you finish that small portion, you should be full. And then you get into these habits, okay, like it's the diet book said this, and that's it. You are not connected anymore to natural body signals of hunger and fullness. And that was one of the biggest challenges that I had to relearn how to listen to my body and be able to satisfy my hunger and stop when I am full, which is like one of the challenges. And yeah, that's like basically it compared to your experience, because I was already into this, like didn't see a lot of barriers because of language or didn't understand the food because I was already in the country.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like these challenges also bring us some benefits, and like we learn from these challenges, we learn from intuitive eating, and we can understand certain things.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Like there are some benefits to try intuitive eating in a different country. We get more exposure to new food. Like I said, one of my challenges was the cultural difference with this limited access to the food that I knew, the food that I used to eat in my country, that I understand, okay, my body is craving this. But in a new country, it's a challenge, but at the same time, it's a benefit that you can get more exposure to new foods, that you can increase your flexibility, that you adapt to the new environment, that you try out different things, maybe things that you don't even know how they will taste or what effect they will have. But it's also an opportunity to make your body and yourself more flexible to what the environment is giving. And of course, here the weather is super different. So in where I come from, a city in the north of Mexico, Monterrey, is super warm. Right now, I think there are like 40 degrees. So your cravings there and what your body needs is very different from here. So at the same time, adapting to the new food of the environment is also like resilient way of living. Like it's kind of like kind of like an evolution in your body to really give your body what it needs in this type of weather, in this type of conditions. And I'm also moving more with the bike, so it also is just better for yourself to become more flexible.
Yeah, and I guess adapting also to the type of food that you eat is important when you are in a country that's warm versus a cold country. Yeah, also you said that when exposed to new food, we are enriching our eating experience. We understand maybe more the culture of the country where we are through the food, because still, like, food is like a connection to the country, and food is like showing you the roots of every country, what they appreciate, what they were eating maybe in the past, how they adapted, how they, maybe the fusion between food. Before the podcast, we were talking about the fusion of different food, like adapting from one country to another country, and a third country having a new dish. So
Yes. No, yes, you're right. Yes, and we were talking about the capsule, how it was this fusion between the turkeys and the Dutch. And yeah, in my case, that I live with my Dutch boyfriend, that we sometimes fuse Mexican and Dutch, and we call it like the Dutch Sican from Dutch and Mexican, the Dutch Sican food, the Dutch Sican tradition. But yeah, this is also like a benefit with cultural exchange where you mix the best of both cultures, and then you just have like this rich new experience and diverse dishes. Yeah.
And yeah, so this increases our resilience, and we either like discover our cultures, but we have a new also self-discovery, because then we get to know probably about the new satisfaction factors that we didn't know about, and we get to know, like, we appreciate new things, even if it was not part of our culture or food that we grow up with. And also, like, we need to think about that when we live up in a foreign country, we need more awareness on how we eat and how we eat. So, yeah, awareness on how we eat and how we mindfully eat food, like around our choices or around our eating behaviors. We feel more the sensations of hunger and fullness. We can like explore deeper connection to our body, and that will contribute by the end to on a better overall well-being and general growth.
Yes, especially I think this is kind of is like an advantage we have, because when you are in a new environment, you are kind of more aware of everything because everything is so different. So you are more aware of how things were. You are maybe in your home country, you don't even think about how to cross the street. You know how to do it. And here you're like, okay, there are like 3 different traffic lights, one for cars, one for people, one for bicycles. Which one do I follow? And it's the same with the food, that maybe it's something so different that being in a different country, you are already being more mindful. You are paying attention, like really understanding the ingredients, how it tastes, how it makes your body feel. So this is something that we can use in our advantage as intuitive eaters. And now we are coming to almost to the end of this episode, and we want to end with giving you some practical tips, some tools that can help you to start incorporating intuitive eating into your daily life.
Yeah, so maybe the first thing we can try to explore local cuisines and explore it mindfully. So we have the opportunity to explore and enjoy the local cuisine, and we can do it mindfully. We can experiment with the new flavors, new ingredients, dishes, and then we can pay attention on how this different food make us feel and make feel either physically or emotionally.
Yes, another tip we can give is to adapt to your environment. As we were saying, like adapting to a new local food is not something that is bad. This is the food that will nourish me, that will keep me strong and healthy to face the challenges of this new country, this new weather, these new conditions, this new movement that maybe we're walking more or less, moving in different ways. So this is also a practical tool that can give you like really be open to explore the local cuisine and see it in a way to adapt to these new things.
And while we are doing that, we should not forget about being self-compassionate in this adaptation process, so we can be gentle with ourselves throughout the process and incorporating intuitive eating in our daily life. So we accept that there may be ups and downs along the way, that we can approach this with kindness and understanding, especially in times of transitions or adjustment. I'm not forgetting that it's a journey, that it will not happen in 1 day or 2 days. you were, for example, unable to listen to your body for years to understand if you're hungry or not. And then, yeah, it would take maybe the same amount of time to be able to understand it again and to learn it how to do it. So practicing self-compassion in this process is very important. So you don't judge yourself, you don't feel guilty about something, and you always remember that no journey is perfect.
With self-compassion, it's also important to recognize when you need to seek support, when you need to raise that hand and say, hey, I'm having difficulties coping with this, and knowing that there is a lot of things you can do to get this support, joining a community, looking for counselors, or online there's a lot of groups, meetups, people who share the same values, who want to explore, who want to have this new way of living and this food freedom and this health at every size of pros. So that is also something important. If you want to get the support, know that you can have it and that you can look for it, and that there is a community out there, and then we'll here also with us, right?
Yeah, we offer support in this kind of journeys in different perspectives, from a psychologist point of view or from a coach point of view. Yeah, so thank you for being here, and see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Await Yet Close podcast. Whether you are on the other side of the world or just navigating your own food and life journey, remember you're not alone. If you enjoy what you heard, like, subscribe, and review us. See you next time.